Thank you, Madam Chair. Senator from Louisiana, I can assure you that this is very important to all of us in the country. I have good friends, environmental friends and family in Louisiana, and I know that the loss of coast down there is an extremely serious problem. I appreciate you raising that issue. Madam Secretary, just to get back to the budget for a minute, how does this budget line up with the sequester and with the 2011 budget caps?
I'm actually going to ask Mike to take that as we've gone back and forth on
Thank you.
who answers what. Mike?
Senator, yes, the budget would reverse the sequester, would undo the sequester, and I think that's the fundamental aspect of what the President is looking for. We certainly have since the 2013 agreement on the budget, this economy has started to rebuild, restore, and grow very significantly. We do not want to go back to sequester. We think that the assuredness of the budget and the investments strategically that we can make will keep the economy growing very strong. And from that standpoint, the President has proposed a budget that would eliminate sequester and help us move forward.
So it would meet the original 2011 budget caps, but not the sequestered budget cap. Is that correct? There were budget caps, and then there was a sequester that brought it below. Do you know if it meets?
So it undoes the sequester. I'm not sure with respect to the budget caps.
Nominally, it'll be lower than 2011.
Yeah, nominally the budget caps will be lower than 2011 still.
Okay, fine, thank you. To go from the broad to the specific, Madam Secretary, we had an experience a year or so ago at Acadia National Park in Maine, one of the gems of the national park system, which in fact is also 100 years old next year, where there was the concession, which had been held by a local company for 80 years, was put out to bid under congressional action. What was surprising to me was that apparently the bid result was strictly a matter of lower price, and past performance and record of performance and local impact and those kind of things didn't count. We had a meeting with your staff and discussed this, and to my surprise, they said, yes, that's right, that's the way we read it. Any plans to revisit that process? Because it worries me that a small company is always going to be at a disadvantage to a large national company who has, full-time bid design people, as opposed to people with local knowledge, and again, with a high level of performance. Shouldn't that be a factor in deciding? When I go to buy a car, I don't just look at the price, I look at the quality and the past performance of that automobile. Should not that be part of the process in awarding these contracts?
Senator, I'm not intimately familiar with the contracting there, as I know you've talked to the Park Service about. I will say that as I've looked into the concession contracts, there have been requirements placed on the Park Service on what they can and can't do with concessioners that are quite frustrating in terms of what they owe the concessioners over time to change out the contracts. It does not work the way it might if one was running a business, and part of that has to do with the restrictions that are placed on the Park Service in that regard.
Restrictions placed by Congress?
Yes, I believe so.
If there are such restrictions that you find frustrating, please let us know and we'll
Okay.
try to fix them. I think this is a place where we can perhaps work together.
Will do.
A second point about parks, and I don't know how many I've visited, but a great number. I note in your opening statement that your department is essentially self-funded. You collect $16+ billion in fees, and you're proposing a budget of 16.2, I think. But I believe there's a lot of money left on the table in terms of collection of fees at parks. For example, at Acadia, it's very difficult for local merchants to sell park passes. And I believe it's impossible, I may be wrong, but I believe it's impossible to buy park passes online. So we've actually had visitors say, we'd like to pay, but we don't know where or how. I would hope and urge you to have the Park Service visit the whole question of fees, how they're collected, bring that into the 21st century in terms of online sales, swipe cards at access points, because it would be a shame to be cutting Park Service and not doing maintenance if, in fact, you've got customers, if you will, who aren't paying and perhaps would even like to be paying.
Well, I'll just quickly say that the director of the Park Service has revisited the fees charged in a number of parks. They've been static for quite a number of years and has proposed some fee increases that are being considered right now.
Well, let the record show, I'm not necessarily recommending fee increases.
Understand.
I'm brave, but I'm not stupid. But I am suggesting methodology for collecting fees, because I think my impression from working with these issues is there are a lot of fees that are already in place that aren't being collected. And as I say, we've had people in Bar Harbor say, visitors, I've had merchants say, we've had visitors staying at our inn who say, I want to pay to visit Acadia, but I don't know how or where. So I'm talking about the mechanics of collection rather than the level. It may be that the level, if you're leaving 20% of the money on the table, it may be that the level isn't as relevant as how it's collected. I've got several other questions which I'll submit for the record. Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Madam Secretary.
Thank you.